Hello, my name is Jeff Stauffer, Community Relations Director with Elville and Associates, and welcome to our webinar today featuring MarylandABLE, presented by Kelly Nelson, MarylandABLE's Outreach and Communications Manager. So how this will work today, if you haven't joined us, if that's the case, welcome, we're glad you're here. You are in listen-only mode. However, if you have questions, and we really want to encourage you to ask questions throughout, don't be shy. Please note them in the panel on the right-hand portion of your screen, and we'll pause at appropriate times throughout the presentation periodically to address them. And we'll also have time for questions at the end. You received the presentation by email from me for your convenience to take notes on it if you wish yesterday. And if for some reason you did not receive the presentation, it is currently located in the handouts section of the panel on your screen to download at this time. For certified financial planners, CPAs, and various other professionals on today's webinar, you may receive 1.5 continuing education hours for attending. For my CE records and reporting requirements, if I do not already have it, please email me your ID number. And for CFPs only, I also need your social security number as well. I'll be sending in my attendance reporting tomorrow, so please send this information in to me as soon as possible. Everyone will also receive a post-webinar feedback email survey right after the presentation, and we do ask that you please just take a couple minutes to fill out this simple survey to offer us your valuable feedback about today's presentation. So I have the pleasure of introducing today's presenter, Ms. Kelly Nelson with MarylandABLE, who Elville and Associates has been fortunate to maintain a long-standing partnership with for many years. Kelly has worked in the field of disabilities for more than 30 years. She has served in many roles supporting people with disabilities and their families through advocacy, education, and connecting them to vital resources within their communities. As a parent of a child with disabilities, Kelly is passionate about helping her daughter to become a confident self-advocate as she pursues her goals of working and living independently in the community. As the Outreach and Communications Manager for MarylandABLE, she is delighted to have the opportunity to connect with many people with disabilities, their families, and the staff that support them as she travels throughout Maryland, educating people about the benefits of having an ABLE account. Through her outreach endeavors, Kelly is excited to see how her work with MarylandABLE is helping to promote personal choice, independence, and economic stability for people with disabilities. So further, also about Elville and Associates, we work every day with families with special needs loved ones with the ideals of client education, collaboration, and compassion in mind, and you should expect nothing less from us anytime you work with us, or any company you work with for that matter. And we're always available for free consultations to discuss your family's needs, and look forward to being a resource to you in any way at any time. So with all that being said, let's start off with a brief poll to get everybody comfortable with participating, and so Kelly can tailor her presentation to you and get an idea of who we have with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll. And the poll is, how familiar are you with MarylandABLE accounts? So you'll see, well, I always do this wrong. Gonna launch it now, there we go. So click the choice that best suits your situation. And the choices are, I have an ABLE account and am here to learn more. Second, I have heard of ABLE accounts and am here to learn more. Third, I am interested in setting up an ABLE account and have questions. Or lastly, I'm an advisor here to learn to better serve my clients. So make your choice. We'll take about 30 seconds. And then I will turn it over to Kelly. All right, we have everybody has voted already. That is a quick trigger. All right, so we have 24% have said, I have an ABLE account and am here to learn more. 47% say, I have heard of ABLE accounts and am here to learn more. 18% say, I am interested in setting up an ABLE account and have questions. and 12% say, I'm an advisor here to learn to better serve my clients. So welcome everybody. I'm going to close that poll out. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to Kelly. Kelly, you should be able to pull up your screen at this time.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate that. And good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today. And I appreciate everyone. Yes?
I don't see your screen yet. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, okay. It's up.
Let me.
Okay.
There we go.
But,
there we go.
okay.
Was there for a second.
Okay, let's
See
see.
your screen. I think we just need to get the presentation.
Okay, maybe that minimized when I pulled that up.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay. How about that?
There we go.
All right, perfect. What would it be without just a couple little tech glitches, right? So thank you everyone for joining today. Really, really do appreciate it. And I can't say enough how much I appreciate our partnership with Elville and all that they have done to help educate the community about ABLE accounts. So really happy to be here, and I've got lots of great information to share today. Just want to provide a quick overview of what my plan is for this morning. We're going to talk a little bit about ABLE legislation itself that gives states the opportunity to have ABLE programs and makes it possible for people to open ABLE accounts, and just talk about the eligibility criteria and some of the guidelines and regulations that go along with that. And then we're going to hone in specifically on MarylandABLE and talk about some of our features and benefits that are unique to the state of Maryland. So got lots to cover today, so I'm just going to jump right in. And as Jeff said, I'm going to stop at a couple points along the way, and Jeff has agreed to be our moderator for any questions that you guys put in the questions box. So let's go ahead and get started. So what is ABLE? ABLE is basically a way for people with disabilities and their families to finally be able to save money without jeopardizing those state and federal benefits, things like SSI and Medicaid and some of those other waivers like housing and energy and food assistance, things like that. And the reason I say finally able to save money is that for a lot of people with disabilities for many decades who really relied on those SSI cash benefits, they've had a challenge in that along with those benefits came an asset limit of $2,000, which meant that it was not possible for them to have more than $2,000, which means they couldn't save for things that were important to them, things that they wanted to do in their lives. Maybe it was, getting that first apartment or saving up for a car or whatever those large items are that we all understand we have to save up for, right? They weren't able to do that. So thanks to a lot of people with disabilities, their family members, and advocacy associations across the country, they were constantly looking for ways and asking for ways for people with disabilities to be able to save money without losing those benefits. And under the leadership of one father named Stephen Beck, who wanted to be able to save and plan for his daughter with Down syndrome for her future, just the way he was planning for his other daughter who did not have disabilities. He really invested a lot of time and organized and pushed through this and made it possible. And in 2014, President Obama signed in to law the Stephen Beck Jr. Achieving a Better Life Experience Act, and that's where we get the acronym for ABLE. And this gave states across the country the opportunity to open ABLE account, to open ABLE programs. The challenge is it didn't provide any funding for states to open programs, so it's taken a while for us to be able to figure it out, as a disability community across the country. So currently we have 44 programs across the nation in So that's really good. But as you can see, with the legislation beginning in 24, it's taken a little time. Here in Maryland, we launched our program in 2017 after Governor Hogan signed our ABLE Act into law in 2016. So for some of you that are just hearing about Maryland ABLE, it's because, you know, we're still relatively new. So we're happy that you're here today. I always like to just point out that the ABLE legislation is embedded within the Internal Revenue Code. And I know that may not seem really important for you at this point, but what I will say is that it's one of the major myths and misconceptions about ABLE accounts. People think that ABLE regulations are tied to Social Security law or Medicaid law. I've even heard people think it was part of the education laws, and that is not the case. We are actually part of the Internal Revenue Code. We're section 529A, and for some of you who may be familiar with 529, Maryland 529, our college savings plan, we are actually sister agencies embedded in the code. So we share an executive director and a board of directors who oversees both the 529 college savings plan as well as Maryland ABLE. Okay. So let's just kind of look at, a snapshot of why people open ABLE accounts. Well, one of them is because it gives people the opportunity to increase their savings or save more than $2,000 without impacting those critical benefits. So prior to ABLE accounts being open, if people were to go over that $2,000 limit, it would jeopardize their SSI cash benefits and Medicaid. With an ABLE account, people can now save up to $100,000 in an ABLE account before it impacts those SSI cash benefits. So you can see that's a big difference between having to worry about going over that $2,000 limit and having the ability to save up to $100,000. The other thing that's really important to know about ABLE is that even if you were to have your money invested in an ABLE account and would choose to go beyond the $100,000 limit, what would happen is that the beneficiary's SSI cash benefits would go into a state of suspension. You're not going to be disenrolled for having more than $100,000 in an ABLE account, but rather you're put into a state of suspension on those SSI cash benefits. However, your Medicaid and those waiver services remain. And at any point that you should spend down that balance below $100,000, Social Security is able to reactivate those benefits because you were not disenrolled. And this is very different from folks who are saving money or have money that's not in an ABLE account or not in a trust. If they go over that $2,000 limit for an extended period of time, they are eventually disenrolled from Social Security and they'd have to reapply for benefits all over again. Anyone that's ever been through that process knows you never want to have to repeat applying for those benefits. They're very, sometimes it's a real challenge for folks to get all of these services, and we don't want to have to do it again. The other really great reason that people open ABLE accounts is that you don't pay federal or state taxes on the earnings, not while your funds are in the ABLE account and not when you take out withdrawals, as long as that money is being used to pay for qualified disability expenses. And we're going to talk more about that in just a few minutes. Another great benefit is the income deduction on the Maryland state taxes, up to $2,500 per contributor per ABLE account. So it's making it possible for families to be able to save money and also receive an income deduction for the contributions that they make to the family member's ABLE account. With ABLE, we offer very easy online enrollment. It's very much similar to an online bank account, so you can manage things right from the dashboard on your computer, and it's very easy to access the money as well, to make contributions and take withdrawals. So that's some of the main reasons why people are very interested in ABLE accounts. Let's just touch on the eligibility. So in order to qualify or to be eligible for an ABLE account, the person has to have had a disability that was that they had diagnosed or had before their 26th birthday. Okay, so this is another area of confusion for folks because people see that number 26 and they go, oh my, you know, my son is 40, I guess he can't have an ABLE account, or, you know, my daughter's only 2, I guess she has to wait till she's 26. But it's important to know that you can have an ABLE account at any age. You just have to have had the onset of that disability prior to the 26th birthday. And the second criteria is that you have a disability that meets the Social Security Administration's definition of a disability. So when people are enrolling in ABLE accounts, one of the first questions you'll get on those series of questions that you answer is, are you currently receiving SSI or SSDI? And if the answer to that question is yes, you kind of get to skip ahead a little bit because we know that the Social Security has already examined your documentation and found that the disability that you have does meet their definition. Okay, so some of you that might be tuning in today may be saying, well, you know, my son or daughter doesn't receive SSI right now, and maybe they won't until after they're the age of 18. A lot of times we see that with families where kids with a qualifying disability may not be eligible for SSI benefits because Social Security will look at the entire family's income when they're looking at the asset limit, right? But when a child with a qualifying disability turns 18, they're only looking at that individual's income, which is obviously much lower, or maybe no income at all. So oftentimes they'll qualify then. Still, we still have ABLE account holders that do not qualify for SSI, but they have SSDI, or maybe either one of those, but they do have a qualifying disability. So you don't have to be receiving public benefits in order to qualify for an ABLE account. So Jeff, this is a good place to just kind of check in to make sure that there are no questions about eligibility.
Sure, thanks, Kelly. We do have one question, and that question is, can a great nephew roll over his 529 plan to his great aunt's ABLE account?
That's a very good question. Jeff, if you wouldn't mind sending me that, and I will check with our 529 program about that to see that that is possible, because the beneficiaries are different. If I understand the question correctly, the beneficiary of the 529 college savings plan is different from the beneficiary of the ABLE account, correct? So I will definitely check in with our 529 folks about that, because there are different beneficiaries, and I will get that. Yes, thank you.
Yes. So Lisa, the asker of the question, I will be sure to follow up with you with an email after I receive a response from Kelly.
Great.
So I'll forward that to you. Thank you. And I believe those are all our questions.
Okay.
Oh, actually, we have one more. Sorry, just came in. And that question is, can I open accounts for my 2 children that have ASD?
ASD, is that autism spectrum disorder, or is that a different acronym?
Helen, could you please briefly jot down what that is? Autism.
Okay.
Yes, I'm getting autism, yes.
Okay, great. Autism spectrum disorder. Okay, yeah. So there are many ABLE account holders who do have autism or are on the spectrum. So we know that that is a qualifying disability, but it would definitely have to be something that you just would take the disability certification form that's available on our website. If they're not currently receiving SSI, you would just go to our website at www.MarylandABLE.org, and at the bottom of our website there is a section called resources. When you click on that, you'll see a tab for forms, and there under the forms tab are all the forms that you would need for managing your ABLE account if you needed them. And one of them is called the disability certification form. And that's all you would need to do. Take that to a licensed physician, have that person fill it out, indicating that they meet the Social Security's definition of a disability, and then you would maintain that copy in your files. You don't have to submit it to us. It's a self-attestation process to open and enroll in an ABLE account. You would just want to maintain that form in the event of an audit so that the IRS would know that that the beneficiary does indeed have a disability and that it qualifies under Social Security's definition of a disability. Thank you. That's a good question.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about who owns and manages the account. The important thing to know about ABLE accounts is that the beneficiary is always the owner and the beneficiary of the account, which can be a little different from some other types of accounts, right? So with like a 529, I might be the owner of the 529 college savings plan, but my son might be the beneficiary, right? In the case of ABLE, they are both the owner and beneficiary, and therefore they are the operator of the account as well. Now, we also realize there are many of our account holders who need help managing their ABLE account. So what we have available is the opportunity for them to appoint an authorized legal representative, and I'm just going to call it an ALR from here on out because it's a mouthful to say. So if someone is opening an ABLE account for a child under the age of 18, you're going to have someone serve as the ALR because these are financial accounts and minors cannot have their own financial account without having an adult on it. So if someone's under the age of 18, a parent or another family member can serve as the ALR. Once a child reaches the age of 18, or if you're opening an ABLE account for someone that's an adult, right, over the age of 18, that person, the beneficiary, would have to give consent for someone to serve as the ALR. And this can be done in a couple of ways. It could be because you may have power of attorney over at least property for this person, or you might have guardianship of a family member. And if you don't have either one of those things, you could always use the form that's again available on our website under the Forms tab called the Limited Power of Attorney over ABLE Account Only. So this is something that the Assistant Attorney General has developed for use by our program for the sole purpose of making sure that the account holder gives consent to a family member or someone else to serve as the ALR. And it's already drawn up. You just fill it out, you take it to a notary, and you have that notary witness the signature of the ALR and the account owner, and then you have the opportunity to serve as ALR. So there's no cost in doing that. You just, or unless there's a cost to the notary, but a lot of the banks will do that for you if you have an account at the bank. All right. It's also important to know at this point, we can only have one ABLE account per beneficiary. And I know that's a question we get frequently because if we have if a couple has a son or daughter that has a disability and they were to separate or divorce, sometimes people want to know, can both mom open an ABLE account on behalf of her son, or can dad open one? But at this point, only one ABLE account per beneficiary. So this is also got lots of information in it. Just want to do a little quick check-in here about serving as ALR. If there's any questions about that. I know lots of times people say, well, you know, I'm rep payee for my son or my daughter's Social Security, so does that mean I automatically get to be the ALR on the ABLE account? Not necessarily, because the Social Security funds are separate funds. An ABLE account is an account that could have funds in it that are Social Security funds. It could also have gifts. It could also have earned income. So that's a separate financial account. So we have to have consent for someone to serve as ALR, and it could be as simple as filling out that limited power of attorney over ABLE account only. Again, that's not going to work for medical, reasons. It's not going to work for any other account. It applies specifically to ABLE. So if there's not any questions about that, we're going to go ahead and hop on to the The next thing, so when we're talking about contributions, there's a couple of things I want to point out. To open an ABLE account here in Maryland, it's an initial deposit of $25 to establish the account. At that point, it's open and you decide how much you want to put in it and when you want to put money in the next time, as long as the contributions are a minimum of $10. Some people choose to do scheduled monthly deposits. Some people open the account and then in 6 months they put some more money in, and then you can do it however you want. There is no right or wrong way. It really just depends on how you want to manage that account. Important thing to note though is that ABLE accounts nationwide have a standard annual contribution limit, and that amount for this year is $15,000. This is where you kind of see where us being embedded in the Internal Revenue Code ties in. So this number here that you're looking at, that $15,000, is tied to the gift tax law, which basically says you can gift someone up to $15,000 without paying taxes on it, right? So when we launched our program back in 2017, this amount was $14,000. But as the IRS changes things and increases that amount of the gift tax, that will change within ABLE legislations and within ABLE regulations as well. So right now it's $15,000. So some of you might be thinking right now, well, gosh, $15,000, that's really not going to help me if I want to, put a lot of money into this ABLE account right away. And you're right. So someone who has received a settlement or someone who has received an insurance benefit or something like that, if that amount is beyond $15,000, an ABLE account cannot handle that all at one time, right? So this is where we see that ABLE is just one tool in an option of other planning tools. So for some folks, what they need to do is establish special needs trusts to be able to accommodate planning for, life insurance or inheritances, life insurance policies, settlements, things like that. Because trust, you can put any amount into a trust per year, whereas an ABLE account, it's a limit of $15,000 annually. All right, so we see that there's a great way for trusts and ABLE accounts to work together, and trusts will accommodate those large amounts. People that have ABLE accounts, they also like to have an ABLE account in addition to the trust, because it's very easy for the account holder or the ALR to access the money in an ABLE account. They manage it online. They can make withdrawals that way, or they can just get a prepaid card and just pay for things out of the ABLE account without going through all the other procedures with a trust. So it serves different purposes, and both of them are very valuable and important tools. So now that I've said that there was a $15,000 standard annual contribution limit, I'm going to turn around and tell you, just like with the English language, we have rules and then we break the rules, like I before E except after C, right? So we also have the Able to Work Act, which makes it possible for people with disabilities who are working and who have an ABLE account to be able to contribute above and beyond that $15,000 annual contribution limit. So this person could qualify if they're employed and they're not currently contributing to a 401k or any type of retirement account, and the employer is not contributing to that, they can contribute up to $12,760 in addition to that $15,000. Okay. And then we talked about that $100,000 ABLE account balance before SSI cash benefits may be suspended, right? The important word to remember there is suspended. You're not disenrolled. And then we have the $500,000 account balance, after which contributions will no longer be accepted. And this is where we're tied together in our regulations with Maryland 529. That is their account balance limit as well. This number does change from time to time. When we launched our program, this amount was $350,000. They did increase it to $500,000 because the actuaries looked at the cost of a college education for a child born today. This is the amount that they expect that they will pay when they're of college age. So there's your fun fact for the day on that one right there. So this number, again, again could change as well as 529 changes this account balance. Again, if the account balance should fall below $500,000, we would be able to begin accepting contributions. So these are just some things to know about contributions. And I want to just do a quick check in here because we talked about a couple different numbers here. Make sure there's no questions about that.
Thanks, Kelly. We do have a few questions. And the first one is, will you cover how to set up an ABLE account for an individual who prefers not to have a power of attorney?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I'll do that in a couple of slides.
Okay. Will the ABLE account jeopardize fund provisions for money being held in a special needs trust?
Will it jeopardize, if you could maybe expand upon that question. So you can have both an ABLE account and a special needs trust. I also know that people that have special needs trust sometimes will fund the ABLE account every year with that $15,000 or some amount, whatever amount they choose to, but they'll fund the ABLE account with some of those funds, so that way that the beneficiary can have quick access to their funds through a prepaid card or whatever. But I'm not sure if that answered the question. So if I didn't, if you could expand upon that.
I think it certainly would. If the person asking that question could expand, that'd be great. But I think that was certainly a good answer to that question.
Okay.
Let's see here. We do have a couple more here. Lisa, the person that asked the question about the 529 plan earlier, who I already emailed you about, just saying 529 plan's beneficiary is the great nephew, ABLE account holder is the great aunt. So I know that's something you're going to research further.
Yes.
Next, will the ABLE account be subject to access by agencies to repay SSI benefits, etc., the same way that a special needs trust is?
Great question. Yeah, so what I can tell you is that that the Department of Health and Human Services Centers for Medicaid and Medicare, they issued a letter to the state medical directors in 2017, okay? And what it said was, unless required by federal law, Maryland state Medicaid may not seek repayment from a MarylandABLE account. So this can be a little confusing sometimes, the way it is written. And basically what this means is that, you know, when people receive waiver services in Medicaid, there's two buckets of money. There's federal funds that are used to pay for those services, and there's state funds. And they're both funneled into this pot of money that provides those services. Okay, this is very layman's terms, the way I'm explaining it, the way I understand it, but this is how it's been explained to me. So upon the passing of a person with a disability with an ABLE account, the state of Maryland has said, we're not going to come back in and try to recoup money that we paid for services. Okay, we're not going to take that money from the ABLE account. However, the federal government has never issued such a statement saying that they would not do it, okay, for the federal funds that were used for those services. Now, I can tell you that to date, people that had ABLE accounts that passed away, the federal government did not go and try to seek repayment. I don't know what the future holds. The way this law is written, or the way this statement is written, it appears that they hold the right to be able to do that in the future. Okay, that's a good question, though.
Okay, and another one, please. Can we put some SSI funds into an ABLE account?
Yeah, so a lot of families, what they do is they use the SSI funds for whatever, you know, they need to do for that person, and the excess funds that they haven't used for their, you know, living expenses or whatnot can go into the ABLE account.
Okay, and this, I'm not an attorney, but I think I know the answer to this, and it's a special needs trust question. With a special needs trust, is there a limit to add funds to the special needs trust?
You want to take that one?
Well,
Again, I'm not an attorney.
I'm probably not supposed to.
Right. Exactly.
I know that there's, depending on the type of trust, there's usually not a limit, I believe, but that would be a question specifically for a special needs planning attorney, but
Exactly.
I believe more than likely there would not be a limit that you can add money to a special needs trust. But I'd be very happy to have one of our special needs planning attorneys answer this question for you, unless you wanted to chime in for any reason, Kelly.
Well, again, I'm not an attorney, and I don't have extensive knowledge with special needs trust. I have had the pleasure to hear Steve present multiple times about the various types of special needs trust. He does a fantastic job, but I am by no means an expert and don't know the specifics of each type of trust and what those limitations are. So I agree with Jeff. That would be a great thing to just follow up with one of the estate planning attorneys.
Yes, I'll get this question over to our team and we'll get an answer to you very soon, Amit. Okay, thank you. That's it for now.
Okay, and these slides will be made available to you, to everyone, right, Jeff? I think that's what you said in the beginning. So I have more information about able to work on here in case anyone does have a family member who is working. It's a great way for them to be able to contribute above and beyond that $15,000 limit. So whenever you make a contribution to an ABLE account, it's always going to ask, is this contribution going towards your standard annual contribution limit, or is this able to work contribution? So if that person qualifies for able to work, please specify it's able to work, because that leaves that $15,000 limit open to anyone that wants to contribute to the ABLE account. And I want you to know that we have a little over 3,000 MarylandABLE account holders, and there's 267 of those account holders who are actively participating in the able to work contributions. And together over the last 3 years, okay, that this has been available, they have saved together $827,000, a little over $827,000 of their own money. This is huge, guys, because this is for a group of people who at one time were told, don't work, you shouldn't work, you can't work because this, that, or the other thing. They didn't have any way of saving money on their own. And here they have ABLE accounts, they're working, they're competitively employed or gainfully employed, and they're contributing to their goals, saving goals. So this is really, to me, one of my most favorite things when I look at those numbers every quarter when they come out, and I go, gosh, this is really pretty cool stuff. So just like to share that as well. So we talked a little bit about the ABLE Financial Planning Act, which makes it possible for people that have 529 accounts to be able to roll over funds into an ABLE account. The important thing to remember is that that rollover is still subject to that $15,000 annual contribution limit. So let's just say you had $45,000 in a 529 account, you would only be able to roll over up to $15,000 a year. So you would ladle it out over a couple of years until those funds were all transferred. And the rollovers are actually initiated by the person with the 529 account. And if you want more information about that, you can go to the form section of our website, and there you would find a form for rollovers as well. Okay. So when the money is deposited or contributed to the ABLE account, then you have a couple options of how you can manage your money. There's the cash savings option, which is very similar to an FDIC insured banking product that you could get at any savings account with any bank, right? It's really going to be subject to the federal interest rate, which right now is, very low, nothing. I don't even know what it is today, but I know it's very, very painfully low at this point for everyone. The other option is for people to choose one of the 3 investment options that we have. We have a conservative, moderate, and aggressive investment option. These are funds that are managed by Vanguard. They have selected these 3 portfolios. The conservative option is going to be an investment in 80% bonds with 20% being in the stocks. The aggressive option is almost an exact flip, where we're going to have just 16% in bonds and 84% in the market. And the moderate option is a 50-50 split between bonds and the stocks, okay? So the important thing to know is you've got choices. This is one of those things where there's no right or wrong. People use ABLE accounts in different ways. We've seen it where we have some folks that open ABLE accounts for a child shortly after he or she is born, and they just use it for a long-term savings, because again, you're not paying taxes on the earnings on an ABLE account. So people want to just take advantage of long-term savings for a child, and they tend to oftentimes pick one of the investment options, right? Whatever their risk level is, whatever they're comfortable with, but they tend to go with investment options. Whereas we may have an ABLE account owner who opens an account after they get their first job, and they're putting money into their ABLE account, but they're also using it throughout the month. So for them, it just makes more sense to keep it in that cash savings option, because some goes in, some goes out. It's very transactionary. Bottom line is you have choices to consider about that. You can also do a mixture. So you can keep some in cash savings option, and you can put some in an investment, and you decide what that percentage is. You also have the opportunity to change that up to 2 times per calendar year. So anyone that's thinking of opening an ABLE account, don't get stuck on this part. I mean, I think that's one of the things I hear from folks a lot, is they get to this point in the enrollment process and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And they just stop right there. You're not married to your choice forever. You can decide to change it up to 2 times per calendar year. So just keep that in mind. Any questions about the savings versus investment options? All right.
Let's see here. We do have a question related to ABLE at work. It sounds like ABLE to work will only apply to jobs that do not have retirement benefits.
Correct. And this is because the IRS says, look, you're not going to double dip. You're getting one shot at tax-free earnings. You either choose to do it through your retirement account, or you choose to do it through an ABLE account. And again, this is a very personal choice. If someone who has a disability and is working and they have like a great match program with their employer, they may be better off just going with the 401k or whatever with their employer, because they may earn more money that way. They may, accrue more savings and investment that way. But for some folks that, think, no, I'd rather put my own money in because I want to use it now. Again, very personal choice. We always recommend that beneficiaries consult with a family member that could help with financial advice, or a financial planner that can help them make that kind of decision, especially when you're talking about investments like, retirement accounts, 401ks, and whatnot. So, but you're correct.
Okay. And another question, are individuals with ABLE accounts and are receiving SSDI but not working required to file tax returns each year?
Oh, that is another one of those questions. Since I'm not a tax person and I'm not a tax preparer or attorney, I do not know the answer to that question, and I apologize.
Okay, I'm going to jot that one down here real quick. 1 second. We do have one more question I want to try to get to. I want to jot that one down though. A good question I think you're going to get to, Kelly. Where do we go to open an ABLE account? Is this managed by a bank?
Yes, that's a great question. That's probably like 2 slides down the road. But that's
okay, great.
Definitely getting there. Thank you.
And then you're going to get to this one too. Are contributions to an ABLE account tax deductible?
Yep, we're going to talk about that as well.
Okay, great.
Great
That's
questions,
everything.
guys.
Thank
Keep them coming. Keep them coming. That's great questions. Okay, so let's talk real quick about contributions and who can contribute to an ABLE account. Good news is anybody can contribute to an ABLE account. The account owner, their family, friends. It can come from earned income that the account owner has. It could be from unemployment funds. Economic stimulus payments. This was a big thing this year, guys. It saved a lot of ABLE accounts, saved a lot of benefits this year. These economic stimulus payments came out. They were hitting people's checking accounts, over-resourcing them. They became in jeopardy of losing their benefits. People were opening ABLE accounts because it gave them a way to be able to put that money into the ABLE account and spend it when they needed it without losing those benefits. Again, you can roll over money from 529 college savings. It can handle small inheritances. It can come from small settlements that are under that $15,000 limit. So important thing to know is lots of sources for contributions. Let's talk quickly about what you can use the money for in your ABLE account. So remember, there's no taxes or fees or fines or whatever for withdrawing the money from your ABLE account at any time. You don't have to be beyond retirement age. You can access your money whenever you need it, and it's not going to be taxed provided that you're using the money for a qualified disability expense, or what we call QDEs. Okay, so the way the regulations are written, a qualified disability expense is any service or anything that supports the beneficiary in his or her health, independence, or quality of life. So you're thinking, gosh, Kelly, that's a really broad definition, really doesn't help me too much to understand what that means. But think about it. Before that person makes a purchase or wants to access money in their ABLE account, to ask, does this item or does this service support me in my health, in my independence, or quality of life? If the answer is yes, then as the account owner, they can make the decision to use that, or the ALR, I should say. You know, a lot of times the ALR is helping with these decisions. But these categories that you see here, they're just categories to kind of help give you an idea of some of the areas you can use the money for. When we look at health, this can be prescriptions, it could be doctor co-pays, it could be, it also could be a membership to a gym, because that promotes our health, right? So housing is pretty self-explanatory. Education, this could be anything from classes at a community college. It could be enrollment in a four-year college, and dorms and meals and all that kind of stuff that go along with a traditional four-year college experience if you want. But it can also be tutoring, right? All kinds of things for education. Employment and training. So if someone is looking for a job and needs help with job coaching, you could use money for that. Personal supports, transportation, this could be Ubers, it could be actually purchasing a vehicle for the account holder and maintaining that vehicle. Basic living expenses, assistive technology can be things such as a computer, screen readers, but it can also be something as simple as your cell phone, right? Because that's a communication device that we need. You can use ABLE funds to pay for financial management and administrative fees, legal fees. So if those professionals that you want to reach out to help make those financial decisions, or taxes or things like that, you can use the funds in the ABLE account to pay for those services. And finally, funds can be used for final expenses like funeral and burial expenses and things like that. So important thing to remember, you just want to maintain a copy of your receipts. You do not submit them to MarylandABLE. You want to maintain them. Just open up, you know, it could be something as simple as a file folder that says ABLE account 2021. Pop those receipts into your folder and maintain them. The only person that may ever ask to see them would be the IRS in the event of an audit. And you know, people with ABLE accounts, they're not any more likely to be audited, but they're not any less likely either. So in the event that you are audited, the IRS is going to want to know two things. Number one, do you qualify to have this ABLE account? This is a special savings, tax deferred, tax advantage savings account. Do you qualify to have it? That's when they're going to want to know, do you get SSI or do you have that disability certification that says you meet the criteria, right? The second thing is they're going to want to know is, what are you using this money for? And if you have those receipts and you're able to support how that service or item supported the person, you should be good. You should be good to go. All right. Any questions about QDEs?
Let's see here. One second here. Sorry, I lost my space.
No worries.
If the money is only in one of the investment options, does that make it harder or take more time to get cash out?
Yeah, you know what? I am glad you asked that question. That is an excellent question. So we're going to go back here to look at the savings versus investment option. And this is important to know. If you have all of your money in the cash savings option, when you withdraw money from your ABLE account and put it back into your linked banking account, that is going to happen much quicker than if you have money in one of the investment options. Because when you have money invested in one of these funds, the bank actually has to sell a portion of those funds, and then that money is transferred over to the ABLE account. So there's a difference, sometimes up to 5 days difference between transferring money when it's all in the cash savings, because it's just sitting in a bank, right? It's an easy transfer over. But when it's in one of the investment options, it could take a little longer. And, you know, just remember that. So if you wanted to take money out, remember it's going to take a little bit longer. So you want to do some planning for that. Okay, great question.
Okay, and a question related to QDEs. How long do you need to keep the receipts for QDEs?
Okay, I believe that now that tax accountants and everyone they're recommending, I think it's 3 years now. It used to be 7, and I'm old, so I'm like old school. I have, I think, every tax return and receipt I've ever filed for. But honestly, just check, with your local tax prep person, however long those records are suggested. And I believe it's 3 years, but don't hold me to that as the gospel truth. But I believe that's what it is.
Okay, another one. A lot of great questions today, Kelly. What can't the ABLE account funds be used for?
Ah, that's a great one. Okay, so a couple of things. It cannot be used to purchase a gift for anyone, because again, these are special savings accounts intended for the benefit of the account holder only. So, my daughter has an ABLE account. She can use it for lots of things, but she cannot use it to buy her dad a Father's Day present. Okay, she'd love to be able to, shop and take her ABLE prepaid card and buy stuff, but not for dad, not for mom, not for brothers, not for birthdays. It cannot be for anybody else. The second thing that we know that the IRS is not going to accept is gambling. So you cannot go to, whatever Hollywood Live or whatever these casinos are around here, cannot go to Atlantic City and use your ABLE funds. That is for sure. But you can, like, one of the biggest questions people want to know is, what about a vacation, right? What about a vacation? Let's think about this. Does a vacation support the beneficiary in his or her health? I would venture to say yes. It's very healthy for us to take a break, physical health, mental health, right? To take a break. Does it support the person in their quality of life? I would think that we would all say that taking a vacation really does improve our quality of life. So as an AL, speaking personally, as an ALR for my daughter's account, absolutely. One of her goals actually is to save for a trip to Disney. That's her goal in life right now, is to go to Disney. Here's the difference though, guys. When we eventually get to Disney, Lily can use her ABLE account funds to pay for her admission ticket to the park, for her airfare, for a portion of the hotel, for her meals. It cannot be to pay for mom and dad. It cannot be to pay for her brothers. Her ABLE funds are for her only, if that helps.
Okay, thank you. Oh, one more, sorry. Can you buy a car can you buy a car for the disabled person who cannot drive?
You know, you'd have to be able to support that car was for the person. It's not the family vehicle. It would have to be intended for that person. So for example, let's just say that person can't drive, they might be in a wheelchair or whatever. You have to have a special adapted vehicle for them to be able to travel. That would definitely be something that I think people could support, and they would be able to show that it was intended for that person. So that's one of those that you'd really have to see if you'd be able to support that in the event of an audit. If you're buying a family vehicle that everyone in the family benefits from, I'm not sure that you'd be able to support that in the event of an audit. It really is a personal choice. And again, that choice is going to be made by either the account holder or the ALR. Bottom line, it comes down to what you say and how you're able to support that decision.
Okay, and a follow-up to that, how about for her and an aide and not parents to go away somewhere?
Great question. So let's just say Lily wanted to ditch her family and go by herself or go with an attendant. We would be able to pay the attendant for her service, his or her services to take her to the park, but we wouldn't be able to pay for the airfare. So in other words, you would have to negotiate with the attendant. You may say, I'm going to give you a flat fee, and I'm making this up. This is something that you'd have to figure out on your own, but I'm going to pay you $1,000 or $600, whatever. And then that attendant pays for their park ticket and their airfare and whatever, and their time, and that would include their time. It's something that you could work out with that person so that you would pay that person enough so that it would cover their own expenses. So you're making it possible for that attendant to go, but actually paying for their ticket, no, not paying for their meals. You'd have to pay them a fee to provide that service, whatever that fee would be.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So now let's talk about how we access the money in the ABLE account. When you open an ABLE account, you are going to link an existing bank account to your ABLE account. So the ABLE accounts there's no brick and mortar building of the Bank of ABLE. Okay, these are all online accounts. So you select an existing account that you link to it. This is how you're going to transfer or make contributions to your ABLE account, and this is how you could withdraw money to pay for qualified disability expenses. And you can choose any bank account. It could be savings account, a checking account. It could be with a savings and loan or a regular bank. It doesn't matter, whichever is most convenient for you. Right now, I am linking my daughter's ABLE account because she's under the age of 18. She doesn't have a job. She has no benefits. She doesn't have a bank account. I'm using our checking account because her dad and I are putting the money into her ABLE account, right? But when our daughter is older and maybe she's got a job, she's got benefits, she could have her own checking account. We could change it and link the bank account, link her ABLE account to hers. So don't get held up on that either. You log into your ABLE account to make contributions, and you do that right from the dashboard. So it's really easy to make contributions and take withdrawals. The other option is to do deposits by paper checks or request paper checks. We're one of the few programs that still offer paper enrollment and this type of thing, but we do run into sometimes some older parents that want to open ABLE accounts and they're not comfortable with online banking and they want to do it this way, but there is a fee for paper checks. There's some fees. I checked the program disclosure book, but I think it's like $2.50 if you want to request a paper check. Okay. The other option is to use our prepaid card to access the funds in your ABLE account, and I'm going to talk about this in a second. So here in Maryland, these are some features that are specific to Maryland. Every state program can do things a little bit differently. Here in Maryland, we offer a prepaid card option. It is a card that both the ALR can have, as well as the account holder, or you can just have one card, however you want to do it. This does not automatically come with your ABLE account. You have to opt into this, and there is an additional fee for this card, we are charged $1.25 from TrueLink, which is the bank that makes this card available. And that is the cost of having the card. It's a monthly fee, so whether you use the card 20 times or no times at all, it's $1.25, right? So what's nice about this is it provides quick and convenient access to the funds in your ABLE account. You're going to load money onto this card from your ABLE account. So, you know, that way you're not accessing all of the funds in your ABLE account, but just some of the funds are on this card, all right? You can use it in stores or online, anywhere that, you know, credit cards are accepted. You decide how much you want to put on the card. Some people, what we've looked at some data, and the way a lot of people are doing it is they're making like a large load onto the card of like maybe $500, and they do that every couple of months. Okay, so it's not like you go on, you load $20 and you use $20. You load a certain amount on, and then people use it for a couple of months, and then they add more. It's really cool because you can upload receipts for easy record keeping. So you just upload it. It keeps track of all of the expenses. You know, it puts it in categories as what was, you know, used for, say, food or medicine or whatever. It's really lots of cool features on this prepaid card. You can customize the spending alert features. So if, like, for example, my daughter again is young and she's just learning about saving and budgeting and spending. So we can put a spending limit where a transaction can't be any more than $25, or there's certain stores we don't want her to use the money in. Lots of different features that the AR can set up as someone's learning how to use the card. You can turn it off. Like if she misplaces it, I can turn the card off so nobody can use it. I could do a whole session on this prepaid card, but the thing to know is it's a very quick way to access the funds. You know, I, as a parent of, you know, work full time, got a couple of kids, one with special needs, I am looking to make my life easier and more convenient. So I get the prepaid card, and when she goes to the doctor, I swipe that card for the copay. When I pick up her prescriptions, I swipe the card for the prescriptions. When I register her for summer camps, I use her ABLE prepaid card. The money comes right out of her account. My other option is I could use my own credit card for all of those purchases and then log into my ABLE account and withdraw that amount of funds to reimburse myself. But for me, since she has a lot of ongoing monthly expenses, her orthodontist, whatever, I just want to make it easy for myself. Again, this is very personal choice, different from someone who's using an ABLE account for a long-term savings account. They really don't plan on accessing the funds. Why would you get a prepaid card if you're not going to access funds, right? Save yourself $15 a year. Don't get the prepaid card. It's really a personal choice. But anyway, just something to know about that. Another thing we have here is our gifting page, which is really a great way to encourage family and friends to support the savings goals. I gave the example of my daughter whose dream trip is to go to Disney one day. She's decided that at holidays and her birthdays, she does not want another video game. She would rather people that normally buy her gifts to make a contribution to her ABLE account. And it's so easy. You activate the gift page and then you send a link. You can send it by text, Facebook, email, a link, and you just say, you know, hey, my birthday's coming up and I'm saving for my trip or whatever. Makes it so easy. People click on the link, they put the amount in their, you know, whatever their account that they want to pay it from, hit send, and it's done. I do want you to know that a lot of people have activated their gift page. A lot of our account holders are using it, and together collectively, since this has been an option, have received over $1.8 million in gifts. Okay, so people do use this, and it has been very beneficial. I've seen, you know, some athletes in Special Olympics that are going to be traveling for a competition, maybe out of state, and they send a link to their family and friends and just say, hey, you know, there's going to be some costs coming up with this trip. Would you be interested in supporting my participation in this competition? Or folks that have family, you know, family members that are in medical need of hospitalization or surgeries, people can support them that way. Lots of good choices for that. And our third feature that I want to mention briefly is that we do have payroll deduction available. And right now this is only available to the ALR on the account or the beneficiary, but you can fill out a payroll deduction form from the forms available on our website and make direct contributions to your ABLE account if you want to do that. So all kinds of features here for MarylandABLE. Any questions about any of these features?
Yes, thanks. We have a couple.
Okay.
To be clear, the ABLE prepaid card must also be used exclusively for QDEs, correct?
Excellent question. And yes, absolutely. So you're actually using funds out of your ABLE account. You've taken funds and loaded them onto the card from your ABLE account. So all funds on all expenditures from that card should be QDEs. But again, there's a wide variety of things you can use it for. My daughter needed ballet shoes for a dance class that she was taking. Dance classes support her in her health, in her quality of life, and in independence in the community. Dance shoes paid with the prepaid card, right? And that's my personal choice. If I'm audited, I'm definitely going to be able to explain that to the auditor, right? That was something that she needed. You can't take a ballet class without ballet shoes. So we were able to use that.
Okay. Next one, if you make a contribution to someone's ABLE account, can that be done through direct deposit, and would that be a pre-tax deduction?
It's not going to be a pre-tax deduction, but what we have here, and I promised we were going to talk about this, is our tax incentive, which is for Maryland state residents who pay Maryland taxes, right? Any contributions to an ABLE account can be used as an income deduction on their Maryland state taxes. This isn't going to apply to your federal taxes, but for Maryland. So you can, if you contribute funds, you can use $2,500 of that as an income deduction. If a couple is married and filing joint, it can be up to $5,000, right? And this can be for anyone, right? Anybody. So when my family and friends contribute to my daughter's ABLE account, they're able to take an income deduction for their contributions up to the $2,500. So if we have family, like grandma might live out of state, she's in Florida, she can make a contribution to the ABLE account, but this doesn't qualify to her because she doesn't pay Maryland state taxes. Okay.
Okay, and looks like we have one more that just popped in. We're coming fast and furious, Kelly.
I love it. You guys are so engaged. You got great questions. I love it.
It is great. We initially applied for an ABLE account, but the deadline to supply a POA has expired because of apprehension of a POA. How complicated is it to reapply with the ALR designation?
You know what? If Jeff, if you could provide that attendee my email address, I will work with him or her on that, so I can get more clarification, and I will discuss that with the program manager and see what the holdup is on that. What is the specific holdup, and we'll get that taken care of.
Very good. I will take care of that right now. Thanks.
Yeah. And that goes for anybody that's on this call. If you're an account holder and you're experiencing a glitch, if we don't know about it, we can't fix it. Reach out to us, right? Because our goal is to make sure that these ABLE accounts are something that people can use and use with ease. They're intended for people with disabilities to be able to access. So if there's something that's glitchy and not working, please let me know about it. Let us know. Reach out.
And that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, great. One quick thing about the economic stimulus payments. I think we may be coming to the end of receiving stimulus payments for a while. I don't know, but we've had those 3 stimulus checks that came in. And again, we saw a lot of folks with people with disabilities that receive them, that it really just put them in jeopardy of losing benefits. I do want to specify that with a stimulus payment, those funds are not counted as an asset by Social Security for 12 months. However, any funds that remain after 12 months from that stimulus check will be counted as an asset. So that's why a lot of folks were choosing to put the money into the ABLE account, because now you have no limit as to when you want to use that money. You could use it all right away, or you could save it for a bigger purchase down the road. Just want to make you guys aware of that. And that is also true with the Medicaid. There's that 12-month grace period applies to Medicaid as well. So just something to consider, just in case we run into a situation where folks are receiving economic stimulus payments in the future. Just put that away, tuck that away in your head, okay? Account fees. What is the cost of having an ABLE account? So there's a $35 annual account maintenance fee. This is withdrawn quarterly at $8.75. And it automatically comes out of your ABLE account. You don't have to, worry about that. It just automatically comes out. It's also prorated. So people that opened an ABLE account June 1st, let's just say, they don't pay $35 because they did not have an ABLE account January through May. There's also some additional asset-based fees if you choose an investment option, and those fees are different depending upon the fund that you choose. And if you go onto our website, you can access our program disclosure book. It will tell you exactly the fee for each specific investment option. So enrollment, how do people enroll? You want to go directly to our website. And that's www.MarylandABLE.org. I highly recommend that you type that out. Some folks were just typing into Google MarylandABLE, and what was popping up was ABLE Now in Maryland, and people were opening these accounts, and then tax time came and they realized that they could not use the income deduction because they were making contributions to ABLE Now, which is a Virginia-based ABLE program. So if you want to be with Virginia or any of the other states that are open for national enrollment, that's fine. We just want you to know that you're with another state's program, because there's different fees, there's different financial investment options from the ones I'm describing here today. So please type that in. Once you get there, you can access that program disclosure book that will get into all of the nuances of ABLE accounts. Anything that I didn't cover, it's in the program disclosure book. There's a frequently asked questions section that's a really helpful tool. And again, those forms that you would need, like that limited power of attorney, right? Or changing your investment, all kinds of forms that are available for you right there. Once you get there, you're going to be able to click on, see that little a red looking pill button that says let's go. You'll see a little button like that on our website where you can open an account. You click on that, and what you're going to see is what's on the left hand side, where you see it says someday, a BNY Mellon company. So MarylandABLE is facilitated by the state of Maryland, but Maryland, the state, is not a bank. So we had to partner with a financial institution that handles all of the financial pieces, making the contributions and deposits and withdrawals. And that program manager, that bank, is Someday, is BNY Mellon, okay? And Someday is their subsidiary that handles all of our transactions and manages our website. So I just like to point that out to you guys, so that so much was going on with fraud and all kinds of crazy things happening. When you see Someday and it takes you to that logo, I don't want you to think that you've gone down another road or you're on another page. That is our program manager, okay? Once you get there, it's going to ask you a series of questions as you move through the enrollment process. Things that you'd want to have handy when you do decide to enroll, or if you do decide to enroll, I should say, is you want the Social Security number for both the account beneficiary, and if there's going to be an authorized legal representative, we want to have that person's social as well. You're going to need If you need to upload any paperwork, like that power of attorney that you have over property, or if you have that limited power of attorney form that I talked about, this is where you'll upload that. And this is also where you're going to need your bank account information, right? The account number itself, the routing number, because you're going to need to enter that. So these are the important things that you're going to need upon enrollment. A lot of people that are opening an account for a minor, the whole process can be done in about 15 minutes because it's very simple. You don't need power of attorney forms. You are the parent of a 10-year-old, so you automatically qualify as the ALR. There's no extra stuff to upload, so it's very simple. If there's an adult needing an ALR, there's that additional step, and it takes just a bit longer. Okay, any questions about that part of the enrollment process?
Let's see here. We have one.
Okay.
Is MarylandABLE operated and owned by the state?
So MarylandABLE is operated or overseen by the state of Maryland. Okay, we are managed or overseen by a board of directors, and the president of the board is Treasurer Nancy Kopp in the state of Maryland. And then we also have Comptroller Francho, who is also on our board. So there is involvement, you know, they're very much involved in overseeing and this program, but it is not, I don't really know that owned is the correct term, but they are the folks that, you know, provide the funds to run the MarylandABLE program, and they are very involved in overseeing our program, quarterly board meetings and reports and whatnot. So I don't know if that really answers the question, but yeah. And then we also have, you know, many other board members as well that are involved from education and, you know, all sorts of, you know, there's a list of our board members on our website as well, so you can learn more about that. And as far as like overseeing our investments, you know, I know Vanguard selects the investment portfolio and manages it, but we have a investment manager that reviews those investments. And then we also have an outside auditing firm that looks at how those funds are being invested. And then we have the board with a lot of people with financial experience that look at those, managing those investments to see how those are going. So I hope that helps answer the question. So Jeff, not sure if there's any additional questions about that.
Oh, I apologize. I had myself muted.
No worries.
We have one more.
Okay.
We opened an ABLE account with Fidelity Investment a while ago. What is the benefit of opening a MarylandABLE versus other institutions?
So again, you want one of the things I would suggest is visiting a website called the ABLE National Resource Center. ABLE, it's www. ABLE National Resource Center. And what it will do is give you lots of information about ABLE in general, but then it also has this comparison tool. So it lets you set criteria, things that are most important to you when you think about making a decision. Maybe it might be the number of investment options we have, or it might be, you know, for some people say, well, for me, the most important thing is fees. So you can select your criteria and do a comparison. So that might be a helpful tool to help you, you know, decide what is the best product for you. So I would suggest folks that are considering that to look at that. You know, like for example, Tennessee, I think has 11 different investment options, and they are open for national enrollment. So for a lot of folks that are very financially savvy investors, they may want to choose Tennessee. But we do have folks from out of state that choose Maryland for, you know, maybe it might be because we have a prepaid card, or maybe it's because of our fees tend to be on the lower side. So definitely we'd love for you to be with MarylandABLE, but if there's another program that better meets the specific needs of the beneficiary, we want them to be with that program.
Okay, and looks like we have one more. I would like to open an ABLE account for my adult disabled son. He lives in Maryland, I live in Virginia. Would this be a MarylandABLE account or a Virginia one?
Whichever one would be most beneficial for your son. If contributions are going to be made to the ABLE account, the MarylandABLE account, he lives in Maryland, so let's just say he's just depositing some of his SSI funds, or maybe stimulus payment checks, or maybe he has a job and he's making contributions. He may benefit from being with Maryland because we have the income deduction. But if you are making all of the contributions, your personal funds or family members that live in Virginia as well, you might want to consider Virginia. It really just depends. They have different investment options. They have different features. So you might want to just do a comparison at that ABLE National Resource Center website that I talked about. You know, maybe run a comparison between Maryland and Virginia and take a look at some of those things that are important to you. You select the criteria. You know, does it have a prepaid card? Does it have a tax deduction? Things like that.
Okay, very good. And that's everything for now. Thanks.
Okay, great. So just a quick thing to remember about once you have the ABLE account established, you can manage your account online 24/7. That's what's great about these online banking products. You sign in and there's lots of things you can do right from the dashboard. You can change your investment options. Let's just say, you know, the stock market's been just doing great. People are making money like crazy, but all of a sudden things change and you're like, oops, I think I want to change my investment option. I don't want to put 80% in the market anymore. I think I'm going to move it back over to savings. You go online, you log in, you change it, it's done. You can make contributions from your dashboard and take those transfers. If you guys move, change your email address, you log in, do whatever you need to do. It's just very easy to manage the account. If you're setting up your account and you run into any trouble, reach out to our customer support. That's 1-855, right? See that number there? 5MD-ABLE, right? Reach out to them. They are available to you Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. And they can walk you through that process. Like, for example, you have an ABLE account. You're like, you know what? I never did activate that gifting page. Kelly was talking about that. That sounds like a good idea. I want to do that. You get stuck on how to do it, call them. They'll walk you through the process. Okay, so lots of good support there. Also, if you need any help, please reach out to us. I mean, Jeff is going to provide our contact information. We're happy to help with anything like that. But we want to make sure that these accounts are easy for folks to manage and access their money. Real quick numbers that I just want to have this as a summary slide because I know we're running out of time here. Just remember that those contributions to open the account is just $25, and you decide from that point on how frequently and how much money you want to put in, as long as it's a minimum of $10 when you make that next contribution. The account fees are $35, right? Prorated and assessed quarterly. There are additional asset-based fees, and again, you want to check that program disclosure book depending upon which investment you are considering. And if you want the prepaid card, it is an additional $1.25 a month. Our standard annual contribution limit, I should say, is $15,000 per year. But if the person is working and not contributing to a retirement account, they're eligible for the Able to Work, which is they can contribute up to $12,760 in addition. But that's going to be dependent upon their income. If they're making, you know, $5,000 a year, then they can contribute $5,000. But if they're making $20,000 a year, they're limited to contributing just to that $12,760. And that number, again, is going to change from year to year because it's tied to federal code. It's actually tied to the poverty level wage or a single family home, home. Okay, so that will change from year to year. Account limits, that $100,000 is how much you can have in your ABLE account before those SSI cash benefits are impacted. They would If you go beyond that, it's going to go into a state of suspension. Those cash benefits will be in a state of suspension, but Medicaid and all the waiver services are going to remain in place. Okay. When that account balance drops below 100,000, you're using your ABLE funds, SSI can reactivate those cash benefits. And that $500,000 maximum account value is the amount that at that point, if you had that in your account, we could no longer accept contributions to the ABLE account until that balance fell below 500,000. Tax benefits, $2,500 state income deduction per contributor per ABLE account. And this is for Maryland state taxpayers, right? We're at that point where we're getting ready to say goodbye, but I just want to know, I want to stay connected with you guys. Please consider visiting our website. There's those great resources with the frequently asked questions, customer support if you need them, but please consider signing up for our newsletter. If you go to our website, I will promise you this, I will not blow up your email box. We send about 4 newsletters out per year. So I try to keep people updated of things that are changing with any regulations or legislation. Sign up for our newsletter to keep in touch with us. We have a Facebook page. Try to get to that 2-3 times a week with important information related to benefits, finances, all kinds of good stuff on there. Stay connected with us. And thank you guys so much. This has been awesome. If there's any questions you think of later, you'll have my contact information. Jeff can tell you we are very, very committed to educating the community about ABLE accounts. You just reach out, send us an email, we'll get your question answered.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly, as always. And that's why we keep having you back, because you are just the best at what you do, educating, taking care of your clients, being a resource, everything that I just said and more. And this was the webinar that almost didn't happen because 2 days ago, we did a practice session and couldn't get the connection working. And it was a issue with the browser settings that I had to go to webinars, help people. I actually had to talk to a live person, which is almost impossible. And after an hour and a half, we finally got it set up. So I'm so glad we did, because this was a really great session. So thank you so much. And this is your time to get those final questions in for Kelly. And of course, she is going to be a resource for you going forward. And I'll provide her contact information for you in my post-webinar email follow-up that I always provide afterwards. So we do have one more question.
Okay.
And that question is, if you open an ABLE account under a different state plan, is it still treated the same way by the state of Maryland for tax purposes?
So if you have an ABLE account in another state and you make contributions to that account, it does not qualify for the income deduction on the Maryland state taxes. And that's a very good question. And one thing I'd like to say, just kind of as I wrap up, there's a lot to consider when you're talking about planning for the future of your loved one with special needs, right? I know this personally because I'm in that situation, and there's going to be multiple tools that you're going to need. As an ABLE account is a great tool. So a lot of folks have to consider a special needs trust. My advice to you about this, and it's really important when you consider someone to help you with financial planning or estate planning, please select a person who has experience with working with people with special needs. There's a difference. There's a difference between people. They need to understand benefits. They need to understand how benefits can be jeopardized. So that's another great a great resource. If you actually visit the I believe it's called Special Needs Plan, specialneedsanswers.com, and they talk about the difference between special needs trust, when to use them, how they work, the different types, and you'll see Elville and Associates is listed on that website as well, because they only list people who are certified and have experience in working with folks with disabilities. And it's really important. It's apples to oranges, right? You really got to be careful about that. So that's my personal advice. There's lots of information on that site as well about ABLE accounts too. So I hope that's a good resource for you.
That is really a great resource. Thank you, Kelly. So it looks like we have finished our questions, and I'll just say a couple final things. I'll be sending out the video for today's webinar, as I always do in my email. I'll send out the slides again, and I'll send out Kelly's contact information. As far as our webinar series goes, we have next Wednesday, the Essentials of Estate Planning and Elder Law with Steve Elville. We're going to take a little break as I go away for a little while, and then we'll come back for our financial advisors, the Advisors Forum. We are getting an invitation out for that in the next couple of days. And then on July 21st, July 22nd, we have a webinar featuring the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, a movement by and for people living with MS. That's going to be a very powerful discussion by the staff of the MS Society, one you don't want to miss. We again have another presentation about the essentials of estate planning elder law on July 23rd, a busy week. And then we have a new one, Pet Power, estate planning for your pets. Yes, you can plan for your pets and get them involved in your estate plan. There's a lot of different techniques to make sure that your furry loved one, your exotic bird, if you have a rabbit, whatever, a fish, anything, you can plan for the well-being and care of your pet for when you pass away. And that's something that's very important to a lot of people, and you don't want to leave it to chance. So make sure that you join that one. It's going to be a new topic and one that Steve has developed, and something that should be really interesting. I'm looking forward to it myself. July 29th, Understanding Alzheimer's and Dementia. We already have a packed crowd for that one, July 29th. Medicaid Asset Protection Planning, also, we already have a packed crowd for that one. That's all the way out on August 3rd. So with all that being said, let us know how we can help you here at Elville and Associates. We offer free consultations. We have a number of attorneys that are very well versed in special needs planning. They are passionate about what they do here as it relates to helping families with loved ones with special needs and disabilities. Don't go to anybody. They are excellent at what they do. Compassionate, collaborative, very educational. So if you come in and speak with somebody for a free consultation, you're going to get your own personal educational discussion and info session on special needs planning as it relates to your own situation. You're going to get all your questions answered. You're going to get a path forward. You're going to get some peace of mind along the way. So something I encourage, if you're on the fence or interested, email me, email Steve, and we'll make sure that you're going to be put in good hands. So my thought for the day. And so we look forward to working with you. Kelly, thank you again. Any final thoughts?
Thank you, Jeff. As always, appreciate you so much, and everyone at Elville that's so committed to educating the community and been such a great partner in helping us to get the word out about ABLE. And I want to thank everyone that attended. You guys had amazing questions, really, really great, and stay connected with us.
Yep, questions are really great. They really help make the webinar that much better for the attendees. So thank you. All right, Kelly, have a great rest of the day. And everybody out there, have a great day and a great rest of the week. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks for being part of the Elville webinar series. Take care.
Bye-bye.